hope you're all doing really well. Welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Recipes on Repeat, where I share some recipes I've been rinsing and repeating recently, some dishes I have a whole lot of love for. Today I have one sweet recipe and two savoury. We'll be kicking off with the sweet recipe. They are all very easy but incredibly tasty, and as always I will have all of the written recipes in the description box below for you, so I hope you enjoy these as much as I do. This first recipe is for my rhubarb, strawberry and raspberry crumble with the easiest homemade coconut and vanilla ice cream. I'm going to show you how to make this first. You're going to want 2 tins of full fat coconut milk. One needs to be in the fridge for 12 hours prior. From the tin in the fridge, remove only the coconut cream that will have separated and will be sitting on the top, and add to a large bowl. Then for the second non-refrigerated tin, give this a good shake up and pour the full contents of the tin into the bowl. To that, add 1/3 cup of agave and then the seeds from 1 vanilla bean pod or a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste or essence. Whisk that together until it's as smooth as you can get it. Then take an ice cube tray. I recommend a stainless steel one. It freezes so much quicker, and these last literally forever compared to the plastic ones, which always snap. Then pour the mix into the tray and leave this to freeze for 4 to 6 hours until fully set. For the crumble, take 4 large sticks of rhubarb. Make sure they're washed well, then remove the leaves and the ends, and chop the sticks into 2-inch chunks. Take your oven-proof dish and add in the rhubarb along with 1 heaping cup of defrosted from frozen strawberries and their juice, and 1.5 cups of defrosted from frozen raspberries and their juice. To that, add 1/4 cup of agave syrup and then turn it all through well to combine. Set that aside, and then to make the crumble topping, add 1 cup of spelt flour to a mixing bowl with 1/2 cup of ground almonds, 1/3 cup of rolled oats, 1/3 cup of flaked almonds, 1/4 cup of crushed pistachios, and 1/4 cup of coconut sugar. Then add 1 loosely packed cup of chilled vegan butter, roughly 100 grams. I use a shea butter blend with coconut and almond oils and cut it into cubes. Then get in the bowl with your hands and massage the butter into the dry mix until it all comes together and forms a loose crumble. Sprinkle the crumble mixture evenly over the top of the fruit in the oven dish until you've used it all. Then place that in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 25 to 30 minutes until the top of the crumble is nice and golden and the fruit is bubbling. The rhubarb will have cooked all the way through in the berry juices. It's tender, but it still has its tangy taste, which is nicely balanced with the sweet strawberries and raspberries. The texture of this is almost jammy-like, and the crumble topping is like a buttery biscuit crumb with texture from the almonds and pistachios, which also add a nice pop of green. At this point, you can remove the ice cube tray from the freezer, leave it a few minutes if needed, or run the back of the tray under some water and it will just loosen up. You'll have these chunky, creamy cubes of coconut milk ice cream, and you simply just need to pop them into a blender. Any blender or food processor will work for this, and blend them up for around 15 to 20 seconds. You may need to pulse it or scrape around with a spatula, but the end result is this ultra creamy, almost soft serve like ice cream. It's so smooth and has those flecks of vanilla running through, which is why I prefer to use real vanilla bean pods or even vanilla bean paste. And you can store any leftovers in a container and re-blend when you want to eat it. I will say it's better used the first time around, that's when it's creamiest. I like to top mine with some extra crushed pistachios and drizzle on some juice from the oven dish. I sometimes will just eat this cold for breakfast with some coconut yogurt. Even in the summer months, warmed up with a scoop of this ice cream, it's just the best. Easiest dessert to make, so fresh, so tangy and juicy, and with that delicious buttery crumble on the top. This next recipe is for a garlic and chili pesto pasta. I'm going to show you the recipe for this pesto first, and for this you'll want to add 1/4 cup of pine nuts into a food processor bowl, along with 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, 1 de-seeded half red chili and 2 cloves of garlic. Then take a handful of fresh basil leaves and add those to the bowl, and also a handful of fresh oregano with the stalks removed, and a handful of fresh parsley leaves and a good pinch of salt. Then blend that up together until it's well combined and begins to come together like this. To that, add a tablespoon of tomato puree, 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Then take a jar of large roasted red peppers and add 3 to 4 of those peppers into the bowl. Blend that up again, add a drizzle of olive oil if needed to get things moving, but the end result should be this vibrant orange, super rustic pesto. and you can set that aside in the fridge for now. Next, place a packet of cherry tomatoes on the vine in a baking dish. Drizzle on some olive oil and season with salt, then place those in the oven to roast at 180 degrees Celsius for 20 to 25 minutes until they're nice and jammy. Take 3 large shallots next, peel off the skins and thinly slice them up. Heat some olive oil in a large shallow pan, and once hot, add in the sliced shallots. Fry those off, constantly turning them so they don't catch, until they start to turn a golden to deep brown colour and they go a little bit crispy. Set a spoonful of those aside to use as a garnish and leave the rest in the pan. Next, get some boiling salted water going and cook your pasta of choice. And once al dente, drain off the water but save some to loosen the sauce. Add the pesto into the pan with the shallots along with a good splash of the pasta water, and stir that through until the pesto is silky and has loosened slightly. Then add in the cooked pasta and stir it through to get it all well coated in the pesto. At this point, the tomatoes should be nicely roasted. Remove them from the oven and add them into the pasta. If you simply just pinch the top of the tomato, they will easily just drop off the vine. You can then serve up the pasta either hot or cold, both are delicious, and top with the reserved crispy shallots and fresh parsley. I have so many chive flowers in my garden at the moment, so I like to add those on too, and a squeeze of some fresh lemon juice. This is so tasty, so full of flavour and perfect for meal prepping, a good one for the summer months and for picnics or for barbecues. Lastly, these are my creamy sesame and garlic noodles with spicy shaved tofu. For the sesame sauce, mince 3 cloves of garlic into a bowl. Add in 1/3 cup of light tahini, 1/4 cup of soy milk, a tablespoon of agave and a tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, and just whisk that together with a fork until it's well combined and creamy. Then you can set that aside to allow all of the flavours to marry together. Next, take a block of firm tofu and using a vegetable peeler, just peel the tofu into these thin strips. This is one of my favourite ways to use tofu. It's so thin, but it's really good at replicating a deli or thinly sliced meat. Add the shaved tofu into a bowl with a tablespoon of corn flour and a good pinch of sea salt. Then in a separate bowl, make the marinade with 2 tablespoons of a chili paste, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of agave and a tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, and then mix that together well and set aside. In a large pan, add a little sesame oil, then add in the shaved tofu and fry that off on a medium heat until the tofu starts to go a little bit crispy. Move the tofu back into the bowl, then add the marinade into the pan and heat it through until it starts to simmer. Turn down the heat, then add the tofu back into the pan with the marinade and turn it through really well to get each piece of the tofu nicely coated. Then you can leave that on a low to medium heat and turn it over occasionally. To another separate pan, add the creamy sesame and garlic sauce. Then in a smaller pan, cook your noodles until they've softened, and once the noodles have cooked, drag them into the sesame sauce along with some of the noodle water to just thin things out and make the noodles nice and silky. Next, trim the ends off 4 spring onions and cut those into thirds. Then take a bok choy and roughly slice that up. Add the onions into the pan and cook those until they start to char. Then add in the bok choy and a little drizzle of sesame oil and turn them over to coat them well. You can then serve up those creamy sesame garlic noodles. Add on that spicy, shaved, crispy tofu and the pan-fried spring onions and bok choy on the side. I like to top this with some chili crisp. This Szechuan chili crispy oil is so good. Adds a kick of heat and just finishes it off nicely with lots of fresh lime juice too and some fresh coriander. These creamy sesame garlic noodles are insanely good. Paired with that shaved tofu meat, which is spicy, the texture of it is just perfection. One of my go-to weeknight dinners at the moment. And those are some of the recipes I've recently had on repeat. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you again soon. Bye!